I've turned 102 years around the sun, and every single one of those years led me to a truth I can share with you in mere minutes. Should you spare me just 10 of them, I'll hand you wisdom that could spare you an entire lifetime of missteps. Sounds like a reasonable exchange, wouldn't you say? Here's the revelation I've finally grasped. Choosing what seems practical doesn't equate to choosing wisely. Opting for what appears sensible doesn't guarantee your safety. My entire existence, spanning more than a century, was built on cautious decisions and pragmatic paths, avoiding any semblance of danger or disorder. Now I find myself surrounded by conservative furnishings in this unremarkable home, questioning where all those years actually went. My preoccupation with practicality left no room for genuine living. My upbringing in Duluth, Minnesota was shaped by Swedish Lutheran values. Anyone familiar with Nordic culture knows we avoid creating disturbances. We never seek the spotlight. We restrain our desires. The words my mother repeated most often were that something lacked practicality. Did I desire a crimson garment over a drab one? Impractical, she'd say. Did I wish to extend my evening with a book? Impractical again. Did I harbor dreams of higher education? Oh, Margaret, such aspirations weren't practical for someone of my gender. The lesson embedded itself deeply. My wants transformed into practical wants. My decisions became exercises in sensibility. My aspirations were carefully folded away like old linens in storage. Dreams held no practical value, and the Andersons never entertained impractical notions. My compliance was unwavering. For over a century, I embodied perfect obedience. What a tragic squandering. The initial understanding I need you to grasp is this. What I'm expressing is that I should have at least interrogated my own desires. That question never crossed my lips. I simply pursued whatever seemed most sensible. And that sensibility robbed me of 79 precious years. When you stand at a crossroads between security and something that ignites your pulse, I implore you to pause and reflect. Forget practicality for a moment and consider your genuine longings. You could choose the safe partner and spend half a century in regret. That fate shouldn't be yours. Believe me when I say this. You deserve better than that existence. Allow me to enumerate everything I denied myself in the name of practicality. Swimming remained forever beyond my abilities. Why would such a skill be necessary? My world stayed confined to Minnesota's borders until my 63rd year. Traveling seemed financially irresponsible. Crimson hues never touched my wardrobe. They would have drawn unwanted eyes. Musical instruments remained foreign to my hands. What purpose would they serve? My authentic thoughts stayed locked inside because voicing them wouldn't have been appropriate. Requesting what I wanted felt immodest. Throughout my 102 years, I never once pursued something purely for enjoyment. My identity remains a mystery to me. Isn't that remarkable? Living past a century without knowing my preferences, my desires. What brings me genuine happiness remains unknown because I never permitted myself that discovery. Sensibility consumed all my attention. I devoted myself to obligations rather than wants. Here I sit in this dwelling, unable to describe myself beyond practical attributes. Take an impractical step this very day. I'm serious about this. Purchase something unnecessary. Should someone in your world constantly preach practicality, caution, and risk avoidance, consider whether their existence is one worth emulating. Those who counseled me toward practicality weren't content themselves. Fear motivated them. They passed that fear along to me. Practicality frequently masks itself as caution dressed in comfortable layers. The year 1947 arrived. My age stood at 23. Two gentlemen sought my hand in marriage. The first was Henrik Lindström, a reliable Swedish fellow, proprietor of a hardware establishment, financially stable, blessed with my parents' endorsement. The second was Daniel O'Connor, Irish heritage, jazz pianist, someone who brought laughter that left me breathless, dreaming of Chicago adventures and uncertain futures. Henrik became my husband because logic dictated it, because it aligned with sensible thinking, because Daniel represented uncertainty, and uncertainty terrified me. Henrik possessed genuine goodness. 3 children joined our family. Our home was pleasant. 5 decades passed together, yet genuine elation escapes my memory entirely. His passing came in 1998. Tears didn't fall at his service because that emotional release had become foreign to me. 5 decades of practicality had numbed my capacity to experience feelings. Word reached me that Daniel fulfilled his Chicago aspirations teaching music to others. Happiness apparently found him. I never sought additional details. Knowledge would have been too painful. Let me clarify that I'm not suggesting Daniel should have been my choice. Perhaps that path would have ended in catastrophe as well. Drive somewhere without destination or purpose. Embrace vibrant shades. Express your genuine thoughts. Allow yourself inefficiency. Permit yourself frivolity. Accept moments of foolishness. Foolish souls accumulate tales worth sharing. Practical souls merely accumulate habits. The most devastating aspect? I transmitted this philosophy. My 3 offspring, William, Evelyn, Robert, they've reached their 70s now. Practical individuals, sensible existences, stable employment, comfortable residences, appropriate partners. Pride fills me when I think of them. Yet I also damage them somewhat because I replicated my own education, never reach too ambitiously, never embrace uncertainty, maintain sensibility. William possessed artistic aspirations. I dismissed them as impractical. Accounting became his profession. Evelyn dreamed of California's possibilities. I warned her about distance, about danger. She settled 20 minutes from my doorstep. Robert fell for someone I deemed too unconventional. He abandoned that love. He chose someone sensible instead. Their marriage has since dissolved. Protection seemed like my motivation. Sound guidance seemed like my offering. Fear was all I truly provided. Now they've reached 70 years themselves, and they're equally directionless. My actions created that outcome. I diminished them because I had diminished myself. Fear became my legacy because fear defined me. Should you become a parent, I beg you, avoid repeating my mistakes. When they approach you with their visions, their audacious concepts, their unrealistic schemes, abandon sensibility. Offer encouragement instead. Allow failure to teach them. Allow attempts to shape them. Allow them foolishness and youth and courage. The alternative creates replicas of me and them, residents of sensible houses haunted by possibilities. Here's my final offering, the distillation of 102 years, the gift I'm presenting in minutes, so you won't need a century to understand. Practical living doesn't ensure safety, it ensures smallness. Each time you prioritize the sensible option over your authentic desire, something within you contracts. Continuous contraction over sufficient time leads to complete disappearance. You transform into someone who merely exists without truly experiencing life, someone who endures without encountering anything meaningful, someone resembling me. My track record was flawless. Disorder never touched my life. Problems never arose from my actions. Embarrassment never resulted from my choices. Here I sit at 102 with only remorse as company. Not remorse over wrongdoings, remorse over everything left undone, that Nordic composure fracturing ever so slightly. Options present themselves to you. Daily choices appear before you, the practical route or the route toward happiness, the sensible path or the path toward feeling alive. Practicality guided me for 102 years. Sensibility became my compass, and I'm declaring to you now, with whatever moments remain, it was the incorrect direction. Without exception, it was the wrong selection. So I implore you, embrace impracticality, embrace occasional recklessness. Take that journey, speak that truth, don the crimson garment, commit to the person whose laughter brings tears to your eyes. Create disorder, create errors, create moments worth remembering. Don't mirror my existence. Don't reach 102 only to recognize that sensibility consumed you while life passed by, because that's not practical. That's merely heartbreaking. Oh, and should anyone have information about Daniel O'Connor, no, disregard that. Practicality wouldn't approve of such inquiries. Still, curiosity persists even after all this time, that wondering never fades.